Alright, so I thought I'd give my thoughts on some upcoming films of 2013. Some I'm looking forward to, and some that I'm not. So, the one that's closest to coming out is Pacific Rim. I'll tell you something about this little movie right here. Rip Off! Holy fucking shit! Does this movie look like Transformers or what? Seriously. Like, not exactly like Transformers. They ain't no Optimus Prime in here. But seriously, does it not remind you? When you see giant robots fighting, does your mind not go directly to fucking Transformers? I mean, this is kind of unacceptable. You know, and Pacific Rim is a lot like Real Steel. I mean, they just had a giant robot copy of Transformers. And, you know, that was like organized fighting and shit, like boxing with robots. But it was still a ripoff. And the thing is, you know, it's not like Transformers that the whole trilogy was great or anything. Because I'll tell you something. I did actually like the first one, but the second was awful, and the third one was barely passable. And the fact that, you know, they want to rip it off because it makes money, even though it's not really that great of a film series, they still want to fucking rape that cash cow up the ass, basically. And I'm not a big fan of copycats. I mean, just let There's going to be Transformers 4, for God's sakes. It's already been confirmed by Michael Bay. Oh, God. Michael Bay. We're going to have a lot of fun with that one, I'm sure, when it comes time to review Transformers 4. Because I know I'm going to see it. But the Pacific Rim, not worth it. I doubt I'm going to see it. Maybe. If my friends force me to go. If that's the movie we're going to go see that week, then I suppose that may... Because I've been like on a movie marathon. Every single fucking Tuesday I've been seeing movies. And I didn't even review some of them. And I probably should, like The Great Gatsby. I think that. But anyway, this is a rip-off. Rip-off. R.I.P.D. I'm actually doing this in order of release, believe it or not. Jeff Bridges, who's a great actor and a great character, you know, it's great to see him in there, but this right here is Men in Black. And, you know, you've got Green Lantern and Jeff Bridges basically running around. This is Men in Black. Tommy Lee Jones, Will Smith. It's a lot like the first Men in Black. I'm looking at it. They're driving around in the car. And this is Men in Black, basically. It really and it's sort of mixed, but not so much. It's more Men in Black than it is Ghostbusters. But there is some Ghostbusters in here, and the fact that they're spirits, ghosts, not just humans, monsters that are aliens. Men in Black is aliens that are disguised as humans, like wearing fake skin. It's like a combination of those two concepts, and it's a rip-off movie. Look, you know, you just can't do that. You can't just grab Green Lantern and Jeff Bridges and just stick them in a movie that's basically like two other movies, and more like another, being Men in Black. It is, and you're looking at the type of humor. Jeff Bridges, the redneck, is a lot like Tommy Lee Jones. It's the same fucking character. And then you've got Green Lantern over there, who is pretty much Ryan Reynolds, who is just like Will Smith. Like, oh, what's going on here? This is all new to me. You know, it's the same fucking thing. A fish out of water. And then probably at the end, he's probably going to sort of take his spot, you know. He's going to be the next in line to be the head of this super secret agency that's, you know, beyond the netherworld and shit like that. Oh my God. Like, I've never seen such rip-offs this year. Pacific Rim, they're ripping off successful movies, though. Why? Because they've completely run out of ideas. They have. Hollywood has fucking run out of ideas. And when they're not done ripping off movies, they just completely remake them. They do, or reboot them, remake them, whatever. They're doing such cheap tactics to make a fucking dime in Hollywood. The Wolverine. Looking forward to it. I didn't overanalyze X-Men Origins Wolverine. I enjoyed it pretty much. Now, did they really, chintz out on a lot of the characters and make them cheap? Deadpool, Gambit, yes. But did it have good action? Was it enjoyable? Yes. But it wasn't, like an amazing movie. It was great from an action standpoint. But as far as like story and everything, they could have did a little bit better. He tried to focus more on, Wolverine's ruthlessness and, the fact that his character is a little bit more action-oriented and isn't, he is a conflicted individual. I'm not going to say that, that he's not as deep, because he is, in somewhat of a perspective, you could say that Wolverine is a deep character, depending on how you look at it. But, yeah. I'm looking forward to this one. You got Silver Samurai in there, which is a villain they've never done, so at least they've done that. They've harked back to villains so many times. I mean, Superman, Man of Steel, which I like, they did redo Zod, even though the fact that character originally started out in Superman 2. He wasn't even originated from the comics. The fact that they're doing Silver Samurai, pretty, big fan favorite, I would say. So I am looking forward to this one. I think that, this is a movie that you could definitely make a sequel to. You could get a lot out of the Wolverine character. They could also have him fight just countless villains, because by far, he is the most interesting X-Men. My favorite X-Men is Wolverine, followed by Gambit, even though Gambit was a cheap piece of shit in Origins. But, yeah, I'm looking forward to this one. I think that at least it's going to be decent like the first one. Kick-Ass 2. Now, when I heard about this, I was excited, but now, kind of analyzing, I'm like, did there really need to be a sequel to this? It's not like a major franchise. Like, the first one was successful, and I loved it. I thought Kick-Ass was a great, fun movie. Was it deep? Was it like a real, intellectual story? No, it was pretty damn basic. Kid becomes a superhero without any superpowers. It was a great film. Not great, good to great. Somewhere in the middle. Not 4 stars, but definitely like a movie that I liked. And, it was a pretty relatable thing. I mean, you want to be a superhero, but you can't because you don't have all this shit that they have in the comics. You're not Spider-Man, you're not Superman. But this was sort of like Batman in a way. Like if, Batman were to be real, just a little bit more goofy, and not so goofy that it was retarded, but it came off as like a good movie, and you had to suspend your disbelief a little bit, but they did put some realism into it, and you could criticize the movie all day long, but it was funny. It was really a funny movie, and it was very enjoyable, so I could definitely see why they want to make a sequel. Though I think it probably would have been better if they left it alone, yes, because it's just one of those movies where it really doesn't need a sequel. It's good by itself. It's not a major comic character, and it could just, remain on its own. It's just a movie that they should have just left on its own, basically. Doesn't need to be remade. Or have a sequel to it or anything like that. It's not that type of film. Riddick. I didn't even know that this movie was coming out until recently. Am I looking forward to it? Sort of. I'm very weird when it comes to this. This is Vin Diesel, who I don't think is a very good actor. But the only movie that I enjoyed Vin Diesel in, and don't even, now that I said that statement, don't even bring up Fast and the Furious. I fucking hate those movies. Paul Walker is just beyond a horrible actor. Everybody in those fucking movies, right down to The Rock, just does a piss poor fucking job, and those movies are boring. Fast Cars, Fast Cars. That movie is for people with the shortest of attention spans. And let me tell you something. I had a hard time paying attention to the movie, and not because I have a short attention span, but because I was bored. It is dumb. It is stupid. I felt my IQ lowering as I watched that movie. The dialogue is abysmal. The scenes are just fucking just unmemorable. Yeah, so anyway, the only movie that I really enjoyed Vin Diesel in was Chronicles of Riddick. And I never understood this point of it. So you got Pitch Black, which is part of the Chronicles of Riddick series. They made a great game, Escape from Butcher Bay. They made another Chronicles of Riddick game, but I didn't get to play it on 360. But I did play Butcher Bay on the original Xbox, the real Xbox One. And I saw Pitch Black. I saw Chronicles of Riddick before I saw Pitch Black. I saw Chronicles of Riddick in the theater. When my uncle pretty much told me, don't listen to the reviews, it's a good movie. Now, he's loves sci-fi, and sometimes I've seen movies that he has seen, and they were piss poor horrible. But this one was actually enjoyable. Was it great? Hell no. Was it decent? Yeah, it was maybe a little bit more above decent. I liked the way how he portrayed the character, and I loved the environments, the visual look of the movie. They spent a shitload of money on it, and the movie was just a lot of fun. It wasn't thought-provoking or anything, but I don't know. I just some weird freak of nature or something, and I ended up really enjoying it. I saw it multiple times, actually. Then I was like, I hear the critics really praised Pitch Black. A lot of people said it was scary. It was more. It was more justifiable. Of the Riddick character, that's where the Riddick character really shines. It was the first movie, and I was excited to see it, so I got the DVD, and holy shit, that fucking movie sucked. It was cheap, and when they showed the monsters, it was just the aliens, the monsters that are outside the ship. I mean, I could definitely appreciate, Riddick is the prisoner in this movie. And, he ends up basically the one getting out of this alive. And I think he saves some of the crewmates. Maybe I'm wrong. I kind of blocked this movie out. It's pretty damn shitty. But the movie really sucked. And it was cheap. The effects were cheap. The monsters were laughable. I think that the original Doom, where the monsters looked like cardboard cutouts, were scarier than this shit. I mean, this was just, I don't know. It was bad. And yes, I actually do know. It was just very poorly done. And it was stupid. And no, this movie didn't do Riddick justice. It made him look kind of cheap. And in Chronicles of Riddick, they justified his character a little bit more. He looked better, tougher. He was a tough guy. And that was the thing. I just enjoyed that character for some reason. And now Riddick is coming out. And I'm interested to see where they're going to go with this one. I don't think there really needed to be a sequel. At the end of Chronicles of Riddick, it was like he became the king. He killed the emperor, the king. And now he's, everybody bows down to him at the end. It was great. It would have been fine if they just left it as that. And the thing is, the series isn't that popular that they really need to bring it back. I think that's kind of a waste. But once again, they're running out of ideas. So let's dip into the remake bag. Thor, The Dark World. Thor 2. Looking forward to it. Thor was my favorite Avengers movie. Aside from the Avengers itself, but the individual movies like the Hulk, Captain America, Thor, and Iron Man, I actually thought that Thor was the best. And I don't know, it was just the blend of story, comedy, and action that did it for me. And the movie just looked beautiful. I mean, when they're showing his home world, it's just breathtaking. When they're out in the ice, wherever the fuck that was just breathtaking. It just, when he goes down to Earth, He's a fish out of water. I know it's been done before. They've even done it in Austin Powers. But I really liked it. I thought that it came across as great. None of the comedy was forced. It was more natural comedy. Like, it felt more natural than any of the jokes done by Robert Downey Jr. and Iron Man. And I like a lot of those jokes. But the thing is, Iron Man felt more natural. It was like I could just, come in, see this movie, and the jokes just flowed, and I would, laugh at them. Just, everything, to the scene with him in the bar. I just loved that first movie. I thought it was an excellent movie. Just so great. And yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward to this second one. You got Loki. He's coming back. He's not the main villain, but I think just this is great. He's not even my favorite Avenger. My favorite Avenger is Captain America, but his movie wasn't as good as Thor. So I am looking forward to this one. Anchorman 2. I'm just going to wrap things up with Anchorman 2, basically. These are the movies that really, got me thinking, pretty much, this selection of movies that I got down here. Anchorman 2. Am I looking forward to it? Sort of. And you might be asking why this is sort of. Why? I mean, I loved that first movie. I thought it was hilarious. It's an acquired taste. And a lot of people started jumping on the Anchorman bandwagon when I actually saw it when it came out in 2004. And I loved it. I thought it was just... I'm not like a big-time Will Ferrell fan. I think that when it comes to comedy, the guy is very overrated. He's just not that funny, and he's made a lot of stinkers. But Anchorman 2, this is the successor to a great comedy. It's an oddball comedy. It's, it just had a lot of clever things. Like, what are the newscasters saying, when they're going to the end credits and the camera pulls out, and you see that they're insulting each other. And there was just so many great jokes in there, and some of the shit was just so off the wall. I would usually just say, this is fucking ridiculous, and just turn it off. But it worked. Somehow it worked, and I ended up loving it. Now, Anchorman is just like one of those cult classics that shouldn't have a sequel. When they did a cartoon when they made a cartoon series out of Napoleon Dynamite, I refused to watch a cartoon because I just knew it was going to suck. Because it's just one of those things that you just don't mess with cult classics. Cult classics don't get sequels. They don't get rebooted. They don't get remade. And Anchorman 2, I just know that this movie is just not going to be as good. And it's probably, I don't know, I just got a feeling it's going to end up sucking. This movie's been in production for a very long time, and I don't see why it needs to be in production for this long. People are like, oh, they're just making sure it's good. No, usually when a movie's stuck in production for this long, it means something bad. And not only that, it's like, where's the footage? It's coming out later this year, but there isn't any fucking scenes. It's just this one movie where they're stepping forward, in a line, all the characters, Steve Carell and Paul Rudd, they're just saying one-liners, and it's not really doing it for me. I'm not getting that excited about it, and it's a cult classic that doesn't need a sequel and shouldn't have a sequel. It's just you don't need to do that. There's no reason to have a fucking sequel. It's like The Hangover. The first Hangover was a good comedy, but there didn't need to be 2 sequels. And I have a feeling they're probably going to make a 4th to that one. It's like, because they already did it, and they're basically repeating the same concept and doing it in a more cheaper fashion. And that's what I think they're going to do with Iron Man 2. And you're like, how can you judge this? There's no real footage of the film so far. And that is a point within itself. Where's the fucking footage? They are not confident to show us footage yet from this movie. They're probably still shooting it, for God's sakes. And it's coming out later this year in, I think, November. It doesn't need a sequel. They just shouldn't do it. All right, so those are my thoughts. Flame away. You know, I know especially people are gonna hate on me for Anchorman 2 and Pacific Rim, because I see there is a lot of just people just they can't wait. I mean, they're going crazy for these fucking films. Yes, but those are my thoughts. You know, some of these movies, like I said, I'm looking forward to. Some of them not. Some of them I have mixed feelings towards. But yeah, those are my thoughts.